everybody, this is Tina with Two Chicks and a Cricket, and I'm going to make some thank you cards today. I'm finally doing something other than scrapbook layouts. If you've been following the blog, you know I recently had our little baby boy, and so today I'm going to make some thank you cards to give to some people who made us some meals and got the baby some gifts. And so these are all the things we're going to be using, and I just picked out one piece of pattern paper, and then I'm going to be using some ribbon and a border punch, and I'm just going to make them real simple. I've got about 8 of them to make, and I'm just going to keep popping back with each step because I really don't feel like setting up my tripod. So I'm going to show you guys each step that I do, and then I'll show you the finished project, okay? So the first thing that I have done is I have just cut these pieces of cardstock. They're just a standard A2 size card. It's going to be 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I just took 8.5 by 11 paper and I cut it in half to get this size. Then I'm going to take this pattern paper and I'm going to cut it into strips of 2 inches a piece, okay? So the next thing I've done is I've just folded my cards, my paper in half. So that's going to be my card. And then I have these strips I've cut at 2 inches by 5 1/4. And for my card, I'm going to put a strip at the bottom, but I want to do some fun stuff to this first. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this border punch, this Martha Stewart border punch, and I'm going to border punch the very bottom of these. So this card that I'm making is very simple because I'm having to make multiple cards and I want it just to be simple and quick. So I'm going to do the border punch on the very bottom, and then I'm going to take this color box chalk ink that is a greenish color that matches the paper, and I'm going to ink around the edges, and I'll show you guys that next. Okay, so I added one more step. I cuddle bugged the card base part. At the last minute I decided that that would be cute, and so I just stuck the card through, I used Swiss dots through the cuddle bug and did the whole card. And then here's my strips. I did the border punch on the bottom, and then I just inked around the edges. This isn't my good camera, so it's blurry. I'm sorry, guys. So then I inked around the edges, and my next step is I'm going to put all of them on the bottom of the card like this. So this one I've already done, and it's going to be on the very bottom, and I'm going to do that with the rest of them. And then I have some really cute stuff I cut out on my Cricut, and I'm going to add a stamp to it, and I'll show you guys that next. I wanted to show you guys a little tip that I do when I'm using something that's cuddle bugged. First, I'm doing this all one-handed because I didn't want to get my tripod out, and I'm realizing I probably just should have. So the first thing is, I'm going to set you guys down for a second. The first thing is that I put adhesive all over the entire strip. Because when you're doing something and it's cuddle bugged, it will come up if you don't use a strong adhesive and a lot of it. So I'm going to do that really quickly while you guys are put down. Okay, so lots of adhesive, and then let me just get this in position and I'll pick you guys back up. So here's my tip. I put it on my base, and then I take my bone folder and I push down, and so it's flattening my embossed dots underneath the pattern paper because nobody sees that anyways. So this will make sure it's really glued down to that paper. And you can just take your bone folder and do that. Alright, so the very next thing I did is I took some grosgrain ribbon with some white stitching, and this is in black, and I just glued it right to the top of the pattern paper, and I just ran my mono adhesive right onto my ribbon, and then that way I didn't have to tie it inside. So you can see that it just is sitting right on top of the pattern paper, and I glued it right to it. I'm not going to do a bow or anything on it. So that was my next step. So what I've done with my Cricut is I used my New Arrival cartridge and I cut out these little onesies. This isn't a shadow feature, and I did that in black. And then I did the normal cut in a creamy color cardstock. And then what I'm going to do on here is I'm going to do a cute little stamp in the middle. I'm thinking, I was trying to find a little boyish type stamp, and I don't have a lot of little boy stuff in my scrapbooking supplies because I have 2 little girls. So I'm going to try to find a little cute baby type thing to stamp in the middle of this onesie, and I'm also going to do some stitching and some chalking to bring out some of the lines on this. And that's what I love about my Cricut, is these cuts are really just the foundation of your creativity. You can cut these out, all these different things that come on your Cricut, and then you get to add to them. So I'm going to fancy these little onesies up, and I'm going to glue them together, and that's going to be my next step. And then I have a thank you stamp that I'm going to stamp onto the card, and then they're going to be done. So I'll show you guys how these little onesies turn out when they get done, and then how the finished card looks. Here are my cute little onesies. I cut them out of the New Arrival cartridge, and I cut them at 3 inches. So then the first thing I did is I stamped this cutie patootie stamp on it, and this stamp was from My Pink Stamper. It's her the Cutie Patootie stamp is from My Pink Stamper, and it's her Buggy Puns stamp set. It's one of her older ones. And then this is a little bee. I know it's really blurry, it's really hard to tell, but this is just a little bee stamp. And then I just did some dots. I don't know if it's just really hard to see. I did like a little dot pattern running off the onesie, and then I just did some faux stitching on it. And so then it's shadowed. The little black part behind it is just the shadow feature on there. So I cut it once in shadow and then once in the regular, and I just layered it. So I'm going to put my card together. So here's my card. And the onesie is going to go right there. And then originally I was going to stamp thank you right here. But when I cuddle bugged this, I'm realizing now that it might be a little bit harder to stamp thank you right here. So I'm going to have to figure something out as to how to put thank you on the front of my card. So I'm going to glue my onesies down, and I'm going to figure out what to do about my thank you stamp and how I'm going to get thank you on here. And then I will show you the finished cards, and then there'll also be a picture under the post, under the video, of course. Okay, my cards are all finished. It worked out that I was able to just stamp thank you right over the embossed dots. You just have to be real careful and use a little bit more pressure. So I was able to just stamp that, which that worked out. And then I added a little bit of stickles, and I'm not sure if you can tell. Well, you can tell kind of right here. I added a little bit of stickles to this blanket, and then I added stickles to the bee up here and to the little dots that's trailing behind the bees. And then also on the little buttons, there's like little buttons on the clothesline right there. And so I just added stickles. I didn't add it to, like, on this one, I didn't add it to all the little pieces. I just added it to the little blanket, because this is like a clothesline, and it's like a baby blanket and a onesie. and a little sleeper, and they're hanging on the clothesline, and the clothesline is being held up by buttons. And so I just added stickles to this little blanket, and then to the buttons holding up the clothesline, and then to the bee. And then let me find one that is different. So on this one, I just added it to the little sleeper, and then to the bee up there, and the buttons. So I just kind of did it just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of glitter and sparkle. So there are my thank you cards, and I'll have a picture at the end of this post. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing me make these thank you cards, and I'll be getting my tripod out soon to do some fun projects and take a little break from the scrapbook layouts. Thanks guys for coming by today.